On your Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors, it's the thrilling conclusion of the 8th annual Locked On Raptors Over, Unders, and Props Spectacular. Will I pick up my first ever win? Doubt it.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Wednesday, May the 28th, and I am your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 11 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us, as always, in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join. We'd love to see you become part of our listener family. All right, speaking of family, we got some dear pals here today to carry on a grand tradition of me coming into the end of every Raptors season, hopeful, only to be disappointed, surely, once I tally up the final vote on our annual Locked On Raptors Over, Unders, and Props contest. Of course, the start of the season, we pick over unders and make our picks for 18 different wonderfully crafted Toronto Raptors related questions done by yours truly. The one good thing I do in this entire process is make the questions, and then we make our picks at the end of the season. We figure out who won the whole shebang. We also have the listener contest to hand out a winner for. We're not going to do that today. We'll hand that out tomorrow on the heels of today's episode. But let's bring in our two combatants alongside me. Big V, Vivek, Jakob here, a 5-time champion, I believe. How the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. I can't wait to get this started. I think it's going to be a fun battle to see who comes out on top. But hey, man, we got the playoff intensity with everything. So let's bring it right here, too.
Yeah, definitely. The Toronto Raptors podcast bringing playoff intensity on May the 28th. Also here with us is 3-time champion Sahal Abdi. Sahal, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing good, Sean. I am officially out of the sports media game, but what I will say is I'm extremely proud of the work that guys like you and Vivek and some other guys are doing to keep things afloat, keep the Raptors as interesting as ever in what we would like to call a down era. But I'm excited, man. This is literally the podcast I look forward to the most every year.
Well, what a thing to say that is. Let's get to it, boys. Again, 18 questions on the board. I have tallied the results to all of our questions. I have not tallied the total points. I think it's going to be pretty close. I have no idea exactly who has won just yet. I do know that a lot of our picks were just completely blown up by the fact that there were injuries and stuff on the team this year. So I don't think it's going to be a high score that wins this time around, but let's begin. The first question on the board was Scotty Barnes, points plus rebounds plus assists for the 2024-25 season. His per game averages put together. The previous year, he had 34.2. We set the over-under this year optimistically at 37.0. We all took the over, and Scottie Barnes came in under even his third season numbers at 32.8. Wasn't a banner year overall for Scottie Barnes. There was some good stuff. He figured things out defensively pretty substantially, but that doesn't do a damn thing for the points plus rebounds plus assist question here on the over-unders. Big V, where would you set the number for next year for Scottie Barnes?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think with Scotty next year, you would anticipate the scoring to maybe dip down a little bit if, Ingram is healthy, Quickley is healthy, and maybe he's not, focused on getting it going on the offensive end as much. You would expect an uptick with the assists, I think. So I would not be surprised if he still hovered somewhere, in terms of an over-under, somewhere between that 30 and 33 mark. So, yeah, I'd probably slot him somewhere between there. And from a points total, I'd probably say I wouldn't be surprised if it's anywhere between 16 and 18 next season.
That's really interesting because I'm kind of going the other way on this. I think he's going to score more and assist less because I just think he's going to be a play finisher in a lot of situations more than he is orchestrating from the top. I think, there were so many possessions this year where it just kind of ground into dust because he was trying to create from the top and there just was nothing doing. And I think just kind of in a position to get kind of easy chippy buckets off of Brandon Ingram, off of hopefully a healthy Immanuel Quickley. I think there's maybe some more scoring to just kind of tap into there for Scotty and just like easier, more efficient scoring. But I'm going to be noodling on where I set that over under. I think all off season long. I think it's going to be an interesting one going into.
I'm just buying into Bobby's mantra. Scotty likes to pass the ball and Brandon likes to score the ball.
This is fair. This is totally fair. We'll get into another guy who may or may not be on the team as well, who may or may not be eating into the buckets that these guys are getting. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Let's go to Grady Dick points per game. He had 8.5 as a rookie. I set the over under at 11.5 and got laughed out of the room by the both of you when we did this originally. You thought I was so down on him after a really good preseason, and it turns out I was too down on him. I took the under. You guys both took the over. You get the first points on the board because he put up 14.4 points a game. Sahal, Grady Dick, incredible at the first part of the season. Would maybe look extremely stupid for my 11.5 under when he was averaging like 19 points a game for the first 2 months. Came back to earth a little bit as the season went along. But how do you feel coming out of this season about the entire Grady Dick experience?
This was a year, I think, a very turbulent year for almost all Raptors players. You could even argue the coaching staff as well. Grady Dick for me didn't really change anything drastically in terms of my future outlook for him for Toronto. I don't think I was very proud of the way he started the season. He knew he was going to be stepping into a much larger role. He knew it was going to be a very rocky maybe season in terms of some of the obstacles they would hit as a team. Nobody expected really this team to make a run in the playoffs or anything like that. There were some really great moments I know Grady Dick had this year, but you're right, it did tail off a bit near the end. I'm excited for him. I think as long as he could slowly keep building on this team as a player and just finding his way. What's most important now is that the Raptors kind of keep their core together and see where they can go from here. I'm not going to go too much into the future outlook of this team and how they should be shaped for the future because I'm not sure anybody has a perfect idea of that. But I think Grady Dick has proved that he can be a really, really good piece for the Raptors' future.
Yeah, I think because the back part of his season was kind of, there was injury that kind of, ended his season in, I think, early March he was done. And of course he, just looked completely tired and gassed from carrying the offense on his shoulders for the first 2 months of the season. I think that maybe almost has people forgetting how damn good he was to start the year and like the incredible shot making repertoire he was showing off. I know he only shot 36% from deep again, but the degree of difficulty on his looks is off the charts. He still is like held up as the season went along as the single most important guy for the offense functioning when he was on the floor. They were a functional offense when he played. They were not when he did not. And I just think that speaks to his overall dynamism as a shooter and mover and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm in on Grady. Some big yams as well. We like big Grady Dick yams. That's fun. I'm going to be set. I will not be as sort of bearish. Bearish is the word on Grady Dick next year. I can promise you that. Let's see if I can get a point on the board now. Immanuel Quickley, assists per game. I set the over-under at 7.3 after he put up 6.8 during the half season he played in Toronto. And then he got hurt, and then he barely played down the stretch. He only averaged 27 minutes a game, and he put up 5.8. You guys both took the under. You both get the point here. I will say, though, just before we move on, we don't got to belabor this one. Injuries, blah, blah, blah. Per 36 minutes, 7.5 assists for Immanuel Quickley. So I'm not right, but I'm right. Let's go to the next one here. Jakob Poeltl. Talk about what I'm right on. The over-under for minutes per game was set at 29.5. I came in thinking Jakob Poeltl is going to play more minutes than he ever has. The team is a little more set up for him to close games than it was with Pascal, OG, and Scotty all playing together with him at the 5. And they're just going to be dependent on him to eat a lot of minutes. And it got a little hairy near the end of the year as the team started taking out their best players in crunch time and suppressing minutes that way. But Jakob Poeltl finishes with 29.6 minutes per game. I get the point. I'm on the board, baby. Vivek, lick your wounds over being so wrong about this one.
So wrong at
So wrong.
29.6.
Doesn't matter how it gets on the board, it counts, baby.
No, I mean, look, I have to say kudos to you for setting an incredible over-under there. I mean,
That's
that is
very talented. Vegas, call me up.
Yeah, I think Yak, your thinking was right in terms of obviously just the need for him to play minutes, and we saw a lot of big minutes during that stretch when Scottie and Quickley were out, and they were pretty reliant on him. And we saw, Jakob Poeltl for a bit. I think that stretch was really cool to see. So yeah, all in all, if the second half of the season doesn't play out the way he did, he probably ends up, well above that 29.6 as well. So, I think you were definitely on the right track with this one, and we were way off.
Yeah,
not even close.
Buffoons, frankly. We'll come back on the other side and get into a question that all of us got hilariously wrong, and that's the tease. We'll do that coming up in just 1 second. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. It's the playoffs, baby, which means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh. You score anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game. Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use the code Wingstop50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, totally free. Offer valid noon to midnight the day after the game. And here's the play. Dash Pass. Unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long when you sign up. When any player scores 50 or more in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 order and code Wingstop50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. Back at it here on the Over Under Spectacular, the 8th edition, as I still sit here yearning for my first ever victory. I don't know if it's going to come here, boys, but we'll see. It's still very much anybody's game at this point. Let's move on to question number 5 as it stands right now. The two of you at 2 points. I'm at 1. Question number 5. RJ Barrett, true shooting percentage. I set the over-under at 60% even. Very hopeful after his brilliant end to the 2023-24 season with the Raptors. And then Scottie Barnes got hurt. Immanuel Quickley got hurt. RJ Barrett just had to do too damn much. He finishes with a 54.7 true shooting percentage, which means all of us who were all optimistic and all took the over are wrong. Let's talk RJ Barrett broadly here, because he's come up a little bit in, non-reporter reportings from the internet, because we got to talk about it because everyone apparently does, even though I'm not putting any stock into it. But RJ Barrett, very clearly the least obvious fit in the Raptors starting 5 going forward into next season. The Raptors picking 9th means that they don't necessarily have to move on from him for tax reasons or anything like that. But there's a very, very real possibility they look around and try to find a move for RJ Barrett this summer to balance their team, to, optimize him and maybe at the peak of his value after a nice season in Toronto. Sahal, what's your prediction for RJ Barrett, whether he's even going to be on the team next season?
Yeah, RJ is probably the most tradable asset on this team. We're looking at a guy who averaged 21-ish points per game, 47% shooting. He does offer quite a bit in terms of just your raw scoring on the Raptors team, but you're right. It's like a square. What do they say? It's like a square and a circle peg hole, something like that. I'm close,
That's
Sean.
Exactly
I know
it. Yeah, you nailed it, man. Yeah.
I've heard it before, and I feel like I'm trying to spin it out and I can't. But yeah, definitely a guy that now you're adding Brandon Ingram to this team, right? A guy who wants the ball in his hands quite a bit, a guy that is a phenomenal mid-range scorer and can score all over I think truly one of the better three-level scorers in the game. And does that mean there's less space now for RJ Barrett? I mean, we'll find out. I feel like it's a player that on a personal level I love to watch, but at the same time, if you're looking at acquiring a much better player, like I've heard all the rumors about Giannis Antetokounmpo and all these other stars that may get traded this season, Is he one of those guys that you would get rid of for a superstar player? Probably, but I'm ready to let it rock this season with RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, and the core guys, Scottie Barnes, Quickley, and see how they go for the first half of the season at least.
Yeah, like I'm fine with that too. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with seeing what the team looks like with Barrett on it. I think, they could find some success, especially if they can get Barrett back to the role he was playing at the end of the 2023-24 season, where he was just this off-ball play finisher, didn't have the ball in his hands very much, just caught it on the move, and was very eager to take wide open catch and shoot threes, and he made them. He didn't make his threes as well this year, and that becomes a problem. If he's only going to be a 34, 35% three-point shooter, then that's a pretty big concern for a team that just needs shooting from the backcourt when you have Scottie and Poeltl as your 4-5. And so, I think they're smart to try to explore his trade value this summer. I don't know what they're going to get. I don't think there are many obvious trades out there when you factor in the salaries and just team needs. I know the Kings kind of get thrown around because the Kings like to do insane things, and building a team with LaVine, DeRozan, and RJ Barrett sounds like the most Kings thing of all time. And so when in doubt, try to trade with the Kings, I guess. Do you get Malik Monk back? I'd be down with that. That sounds pretty fun to me. But I don't think there's an obvious, easy to make trade out there. That said, I think the 54.7% true shooting that has us all licking our wounds without a point here, I think that is more of a function of just the injuries and being asked to do way too much. I think they have figured out what works for RJ Barrett, just wasn't a full context where he could do the things that work for RJ Barrett. And I think next year, if he comes in and he averages 18 points a game, but it's on way better efficiency, I think everyone is happier at the end of the day.
Yeah. He's also Sean got to start hitting his free throws, man. This is
worse than Poeltl from the line.
I don't get it.
Can't be worse than Poeltl from the line. That's not good news. As much as Jakob Poeltl did great things, this is getting better free throws this year. Next one here: most total minutes played. Jacoby Walter, Jonathan Mobo, or Jamal Shed. These three players ranked 6th, 7th, and 8th on the Toronto Raptors in total minutes played this year. It was close. I took Mobo, Vivek took Mobo, and Sahal took Walter, and Jamal Shed led the Raptors in rookies in minutes. 1,467. So none of us get the point here. Again, skunked. Big V, quickly. Who's is Walter the guy you're most bullish on here from this class? I think you could say Shed probably had the best rookie season. He got a couple of second-team all-rookie votes. That's fun. But is Walter the guy who comes out of this season maybe with sort of the highest level of optimism for you?
I think so, no question. I think he has the clearest potential to be a starter in this league. I think
totally.
Impact-wise, you see it on both ends. And I think we had this long anticipation of what he could be because, obviously he had the shoulder issue and missed the start of the season. And then we finally, what was it? The road trip against the Pelicans, around then that we started to see him. And I think, again, I think he just has a really good understanding of the game and plays with a real poise. And offensively, he's always moving. Defensively, he's very active and can really, really apply ball pressure. And so I think for those reasons, he should be at the top of the list of those three.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I think I would not be shocked if by the end of next season he is starting for the Raptors. Maybe that's a little over my skis, but that's for an over-under for a later date. Let's get to another one. Can we finally get some points on the board here? It's not going so hot so far. Next up here, we have combined points per game from the original bench crew for this team. Davion Mitchell, R.I.P. Ochai Agbaji, Kelly Olynyk, R.I.P. and Bruce Brown, R.I.P. And once again, a masterclass in line setting from me. I set the over-under at 32.5. Those four players in Raptors uniforms this year combined to score 32.2 points. So the under scores here. I took the over. Sahal took the over, but Vivek gets the point for taking the under. He is in the lead 3-2-1. We don't need to talk about the bench anymore. Let's move on to Immanuel Quickley. Total 3-point field goals made. Another one completely ruined by injury. Ruined for me specifically because the over-under was set at 208.5. He had 171 threes the season prior. I thought this dude's going to be letting it rip 10 times a game. He's just going to throw him in at a really impressive clip, and it just didn't happen that way because of the injuries. He hits 85 threes on the season. I took the over 208.5. You guys both took the under. You both get the point here. Sahal, next season for Quickley, a full year as very clearly the best shooter on the team. Like, let's go there. There's no question about this guy's shooting at the very least, right? You can have his misgivings, your misgivings about his playmaking or his rim pressure or whatever, but the 3-point shooting he brings to the table, it just completely changes the game for this team, no?
It does, and they need a floor spacer so bad. You're talking about guys I just mentioned, RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, Brandon Ingram. You're going to need a guy that spaces the floor. And I think Quickley, this is a little bit of a litmus test this upcoming season for him because I know the Raptors didn't accomplish a lot as a team, but you're talking about a guy who was injured the majority of the season. Raptors fans already had questions about him going into this past season. So you're going to want to see a healthy player that takes a step forward that really can solidify his future. But yeah, in terms of how he fits on the floor, absolutely. They're going to need a shooter more than anything.
Yeah. And I continue to be a Quickley believer. I think, his impact numbers this year, pretty encouraging. The defense held up just fine when he was on the floor. Thought he made some strides there with the high pickup point stuff. Even if he wasn't perfect, I think he's a totally passable point guard defender. It's going to come down to how he fits and how he kind of ties things together for this team. But I think having Brandon Ingram is going to help him in the creation department a little bit. And I think his 3-point shooting is just going to help everybody kind of eat a little bit more. Hopefully he can be healthy all year long. Let's go to the last one here in the first half, our player-specific props and over-unders. Total combined points for BBQ, Barnes, Barrett, Quickley. Optimism not paying off this time around. Shocking that I am bearing the brunt of this one, as the over-under was set at 64.5 combined points for the presumed 3 best players on the Raptors. I think you could probably argue that Jakob Poeltl is at the very least the 3rd best player on this team, and where you think Quickley or RJ falls in as 3 or 4, that's up to your own discretion, but not exactly a banner year for this trio in particular. Individually, some nice stuff, some nice moments, but all of them together, kind of rough stuff. And across the board, they combined for 57.5 points. So well under the 64.5. I took the over. Big V took the over. Sahal gets a point here because he took the under. And through the first half, it's not looking good for your boy. You guys each have 4 points. I have 1 point through 9 questions. And I am going to take a quick break. I'm going to heave myself out the window. We'll come back with the rest of the podcast on the other side. All right, let's continue here. Went out the window. I came back. I'm all good. Let's wrap up the show with the final stretch here. We have 9 more questions. We'll rattle through as fast as we can. Still in the balance for you two guys. I'm going to have to go in quite a heater here in the back part. Next question. Who will be the 2nd leading scorer per game on the Toronto Raptors? The result here was Scotty Barnes with his 19.3. No one took Scotty Barnes. I took Barrett. Vivek took Quickley, and Sahal took Barrett as well. So none of us get the point there. Moving on. Let's go to the next question. Question 10. Net rating for the Quickley, Dick, Barrett, Barnes, Poeltl lineup per 100 possessions on cleaning the glass. I set the over-under at plus 4.5. This was bullish during their little tiny stretch of play, mostly with Gary Trent Jr. in place of Grady Dick during the 2023-24 season. That lineup was quite good, and so I was feeling all right about it. Did not work out so hot. In 227 possessions together per clean the glass, that lineup sported a minus 8.4 net rating, so the under hits. I took the over. Sahal took the over. Big V gets the point here. Vivek, this lineup, not at all successful. A really interesting, weird quirk. They were awesome on defense, again, like they were in 2023-24 with Trent and Dick's place. A 109.7 defensive rating, 88th percentile. The offense was just 2nd percentile at 101.3 per 100. Do you feel like you have any handle on that lineup? Is that a lineup we even need to think about anymore now that Brandon Ingram is on the team?
No, it's not a lineup we have to think about much with Brandon Ingram on the team. But yeah, I think in terms of having a handle on it, I just don't think they played together enough. I think that that was a group that was always looking for some kind of rhythm, and I think we saw a lot of what Darko wants in terms of like the ball just moving side to side, but maybe not enough in terms of actual penetration and actual positive outcomes in terms of creation. So I think that just led to, just not great looks on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I think given more time, they probably get some better results. I don't know what to make of the defense being so damn good. I think that's just Scottie Barnes and Jakob Poeltl. When they were together on the floor this year, the defense was nails basically in all situations, which, hey, that's a really good thing to know going into next season for sure. I think there's maybe some sustainability to that, considering just it didn't matter who they played with. They were awesome as a two-man rim protection duo. But yeah, rough stuff here for anyone who thought that lineup was going to be good. That also was one of my bold predictions with Joseph Cacharo, was that this lineup would be amazing. And that got ruined real quick once the Quickley injury happened and they never played together. Let's go to more total dunks. Scotty Barnes or the rest of the starting five combined. Obviously tough because a million different guys started, but the starting five in this exercise was expected to be Quickley, Dick, RJ, Barnes, and Poeltl. So those are the guys I used for this comparison. I took the starting five. Big V took the starting five. Sahal took Scotty Barnes. And with a final score of 75 dunks to 60, the starting five wins out. Big point here for Big V. Sahal, you're looking displeased. Number of players from opening night 15-man roster traded before the deadline. Set the over-under at 3.5. You, Vivek, took the under. Sahal took the under. Vivek took the over. Sahal took the under. I took the under. And it was under. 3 guys got traded. Davion Mitchell, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown. Nobody else. That's a big, big point for Sahal and me if I want to pretend I still have a chance of winning this thing. Next up, final offensive ranking. So the over-under on the offense, which I think I was kind of hopeful it would be a little bit better this year. I said it at 15.5. I thought that starting five was going to be very good on offense and the rest would figure itself out. I took the over on that. So over meaning 15th or higher. You guys both took the under. You guys both get the point here because nothing is fair in this hell world we live in. And they were 26th in offense. They were awful. They were worse than they were the year before. Vivek, I don't know what happened with the offense, man. Why was it so stinky?
I mean, guys not being healthy is a big reason.
You're right. I just stop feeling bad about myself. I would have been right if Immanuel Quickley played this year. I would have beaten your ass.
No, but the one thing I will say is next season will be a crucial season for Darko, right? Because we've had this stretch where everyone's expected a rebuild, and so we've been able to say, okay, let's see what he's trying to implement, and not been so hell-bent on results and been very much about the process. And so we've seen a lot of ball movement, and the offensive rating hasn't reflected a team that's being very efficient. And so I think next season is a big test to see if all that ball movement can actually translate to something better than in terms of the efficiency. And then defensively, like obviously the second half of the season post All-Star break, we saw very good results. I do think that was benefited by the number of sub 500 teams the Raptors faced. And so I think that's going to be another test of like, can it actually sustain against good teams? So I think next year is a big year for Darko in terms of how those two measure out.
Yeah, 100%. I think to the point of the defense, which we can pivot to now, that was, I think everyone expected that to be a real weakness of this team. And to the credit of mostly Scottie Barnes, frankly, and Jakob Poeltl having a nice resurgence after a bit of a weak first month or so, they ended up being a lot better than expected. I set the over-under on the defense at 23.5. So over meant 23rd or better, under meant 24th or worse. I took the under. I thought they were going to be like 24th, 25th. Vivek took the over. Sahal took the under. Vivek gets the point here. They were 15th in defense by the end. kind of wild. They were like first for like multiple month stretches, which is kind of impressive too. And it wasn't all just March, like January, February, before things got real, not serious. It was also pretty encouraging on the defensive end as well. I'm of the mind they need more reinforcements still. I think they need to go target talent via the draft or trade or whatever to help bolster the defensive just talent across the roster. But certainly I think process-wise, they got some stuff done that was pretty interesting. Let's go to regular season wins. This is a big swing question here in this contest. The over-under from our friends at FanDuel was 30.5. The Raptors finished with 30 wins, so pretty good. It's almost like I set that over-under. You get a bonus point for an exact guess here as well. I took the over. I said 34 wins, and I think my optimism might have been proven all right and correct had the injuries not piled up. This was clearly better than a 30-win team, I think, on paper, if not for Quickley missing the first half of the year, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need to relitigate this thing that I'm going to keep relitigating because it's my cope. So I took the over, didn't get the point. So, Sahal, you took the under, so you get a point here. You said 26 wins, but Big V, double points. He got it exactly. He took the under and 30, so he's up to 10 points. Sahal's now at 7 with 2 questions remaining, which means it's just victory lap season for Big V. The V stands for victory for the rest of the way. Incredible stuff. Sahal,
Sahal's just going to be off camera the rest of the way.
Sahal will get his little victory speech a little later, but you came in pretty pessimistic about this team, Sahal. It has not paid off for you. How do you feel about it? What a weird year where like optimism probably should have been rewarded more considering all the things that went down. Super pessimism also wasn't there because they were still better than like a bottom of the league level team. You said 26 wins. How are you feeling, man? That's a tough one.
Yeah, this one sucks. And obviously in 2 ways because Vivek just won again. And I thought going into this little podcast that we were doing, I had the upper hand on him. He's a lifelong Manchester United fan, and going into this as a Tottenham fan, I thought, I could flex my muscles a bit, change my little title at the bottom, stunt on the guys a little bit. But no, to answer your question, it's I did come in as a pessimist this year, and honestly, it wasn't necessarily me going, you know what, the Raptors are going to absolutely suck this season, so on and so forth. But it was more when I don't project the Raptors as a playoff team, which I didn't at the beginning of the season. I knew when you're in that weird space, Sean, you tend to, like, one guy will go down, he has an ankle injury, you think it's going to last a week, boom, he's out a month. It's one of their key guys. It's just one of those things that just things linger a bit longer than they're supposed to, and you start to really kind of see guys, especially the coaching staff, Rajakovic, you start to see him just testing out things. We saw Scotty Barnes in a million roles this year, which is good. That's always a good thing. Some other guys were in different roles. Grady Dick obviously took a step up in his shot profile and things of that nature. But this one stinks. This one stinks. I'm not going to lie to you. This point hurts a little more than the others. And Big V, I guess congratulations. I really didn't want to say this today, but congratulations.
We're gonna give him the chance to gloat over his 6th championship sometime soon. But first, I have to gloat about another one I got right. My 3rd point on the board, question 17. Final standings position in the Eastern Conference. The over-under was set at 11.5. And you, Negative Nelly, said they were going to be under that. And they were going to finish 12th or worse. When I, the optimistic guy, said they were going to finish 11th. And baby, did they ever. They finished 11th. Point for me. That's the only one that counts. Game over. Changing the rules on the fly. I win. Give me the crown. Give me the belt. Woo-hoo. No. Last question here. Let's end on another sour note for me. End of season award winners. I thought they might get a second-team all-rookie guy. Thought they might get someone squeezing in. Maybe Scottie Barnes squeezes onto an all-defense team. Something. Anything. Nope. I took the over on 0.5 end-of-season awards. You guys both took the under. So we get a sympathy point for Sahal, an insurance point for Big V to wrap it up with 11 points from a possible 19 when you factor in that bonus point. Vivek Jakob, 6-time Locked On Raptors over-unders champion. Congratulations. I hate you. Talk.
Well, it was actually a bit of a barren stretch the last few years. I think I kind of stepped off the gas.
Can't relate to barren stretches in this exercise at all.
You kind of took the lead from Masai and Bobby and just kind of coasted on my laurels for a little bit.
Meanwhile, Arturas Karnisovas over here.
And I saw the Raptors draft Jacoby and get Mobo in the mix and get Jamal Shed, and it's like, oh, this development thing is happening, and I'm like, hey man, I think I'm back. I am back. Feels good.
Feels good for one of us and one of us only. Also, a quick note on the tiebreaker question. Had it come down to that, Big V would have won that as well. The tiebreaker question was total points scored by Ulrich Champche with Raptors 905 this season. He scored 234. I guess 432. Sahal 416 and Vivek 330. So had it come to the tiebreaker, Big V, this was written. It was going to be you all the way along. Man, I suck at this. I don't like it. I went in last year thinking, I'm going to be negative. I'm mean. I'm going to go and try to
remember that.
And then I got talked into the damn team on opening day. It was like, yeah, they're going to be fun. They're going to win 34 games. Let's go. That was stupid. That was dumb. But at the same time, had they not gotten hurt, it might have all worked out for me.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. I feel like the 3 points are not doing justice the quality of my predictions. Once again, this is cope. Maybe I shouldn't have the podcast anymore. We're going to take the summer to think about that. I'm going to have a baby. Vivek's going to take over the show while I have a baby. Maybe I'll just never come back. And this will be your prize for winning once again. Big V, congratulations, my man. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there to wrap up the show?
Well, first off, I would just say it would not be a prize to lose you from the show. So you can take your little break.
You're
but
so
the people
nice.
Are going to need you.
So sweet. Yay.
Wow, I try to do a nice thing.
Not the time, man. Not the time. This is like your dog just ran away, and it's like, it's okay. Dogs do this all the time. But don't comfort me right now.
I'm not trying to hear that.
Don't give me explanations for stuff. No, give me a blanket and some hot chocolate. That's all I want.
Well, it's been great seeing you 3 times in the last 24 hours. But besides that, no, in terms of work, just the usual stuff, Raptors in 7, Basketball Insider, sportscasting. My last post was just I revealed just what my research process is like in terms of getting into all these prospects and figuring out what they're about. And you can check that out. And then I'll have my next piece on the first 5 prospects I'm taking a look at. Maybe now I'll make that 6. That number is just hitting real nice right now. And have that ready next week.
Hell yeah. Sahal, you're not in the media game no more, but I don't even want to plug on Postacoglu or something.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe next year will go better in terms of this podcast, because if we let Big V win this again, man, we might have to just stop this altogether, Sean. Honestly,
well, I'm incapable of winning this at all, so it's all on you to do it, because I can't do it. It's impossible. It's never going to happen. We're at the point now where I'm not going to leave the podcast, by the way. I can't give up that gravy train, but I might retire the podcast if ever I win one time or retire the game. I don't know. I'll just have to go out on top. But
next year positivity will be good.
You say this and then horrible things will befall everything, or I'll pick all the same things as you guys and lose the tiebreaker and lose that way. I've lost in every way, shape, or form. I've had like 14 points and lost before. It's just how it goes, man. I've accepted my lot in life. It's okay. Thank you to everyone for rocking with the show. On Thursday, we will announce the listener winner from all the submissions that came in at the start of the year. So keep an eye out for that. Looking forward to sharing who won, and we'll get you a pair of tickets to a game next season on me. So that's great. And yeah, other than that, follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, all that good stuff. We will talk to you again very soon with another episode of Locked On Raptors. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye. Can't even hit that.